I'm Kellie Murphy-Ringate, Fire Marshal and Public Educator with the Excelsior Fire District, and welcome to First Responder TV, your public safety source, featuring training exercises, safety tips, and much more. Here's what's coming up on First Responder TV. I'll talk with John Babin from the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Public Education Committee. We'll look inside the Lake Minnetonka Emergency Management Group's new emergency response vehicle. Scam Alert. We'll give you an update on scams that have been targeting citizens in the lake area. We'll highlight the City of Greenwood's Coyote Management Plan on Safety Source. Joining us today is John Babin, Deputy Fire Chief for the Savage Fire Department. Thanks for joining us, John.
My pleasure, Kelly.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been with Savage for 28 years. My first, about 21, was with Paid on Call. 2007, I was hired full-time. 2011, I was promoted to Deputy Chief.
What are the responsibilities of a Deputy Fire Chief?
Chief in charge of training. I also do inspections, and I'm responsible for the public education for the city.
So you wear a lot of hats?
Yes, I do.
Like a lot of people do. And
Yes.
one of your hats is being the chairperson for the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association's Public Education Committee.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association?
Minnesota State Fire Chiefs is a statewide organization. I believe there's probably about 500 different departments throughout the state that have multiple members in it. The organization is broke down into several different committees, like ourselves with the Public Education Committee. They have health and safety, education, conference committees, several others that just deal with different issues with the fire service.
Can you tell us about your responsibilities as a chairperson for the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Public Education Pub Ed Committee?
I think the chairperson is probably a little bit easier job because I get to help to delegate some of the work. But we have a really good group of people. Right now we have about 34 members from the state. Most of them right now are in the metro area. We have a few in the outstate area, and we're trying to grow the membership.
So you're looking for more committee members?
Always looking for more, yeah.
And basically those committee members come from all over the state?
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome. Can you tell us about some of the projects that the committee is currently working on?
Currently we're working on a home fire safety survey. This will be our second year in it. Right now we have about 13 departments that are participating in the first year. It's going very well. They're just getting ready to report their second quarter survey results and things like that. We're also working on a fallen injury prevention for older adults. That program we hope to have rolled out by our convention this October.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit more about what happens with the survey? How does that work with the fire departments?
The different departments, they open up opportunities for residents in the area. The firefighters will go in and kind of just walk through and do a safety survey. They'll look at things, maybe let's say in the mechanical area, for example. Are things piled too close to the water heater, the furnace, things like that? Do they have working smoke alarms in the house? Do they have working carbon monoxide alarms? And there's kind of a checklist they go through with the homeowners. And then there's certain things out of that checklist that they report back to our organization, and we kind of track those results.
So since it began, how many homes have these firefighters or these fire departments gone into?
As of the end of first quarter results, we've had probably over 250 so far out of the 13 different departments.
That's amazing. So now the toolkits, these older adult prevention toolkits, how do fire departments get a hold of those, or when will they be available?
We're hoping to have them available by the convention this October, which is going to be down in Rochester. The kits are going to be given away. All we ask is that the different departments representatives come up to us. We'll explain what the kits are for, provide them the kits, which have a bunch of different props they can use for when they talk to the seniors or the older adults in their communities. We'll also have paperwork and scripts, if you will, that they can use as teaching tools.
So these kits are for fire departments that go out and teach older adults, and it gives them everything they need, props and a presentation guide.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic. So they just have to be members of the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell us about this conference that is in Rochester. Tell us a little bit more about it.
This is the annual Chiefs Conference. They move it to different locations throughout the state each year. And really what is it? It's a great networking opportunity for the different fire departments, whether you're you're an officer for the department, a firefighter, but it's a good networking opportunity to meet with some of your peers. They have a lot of great educational classes. A lot of the vendors with equipment and trucks and things like that are all available. So it's a very well-attended conference. It usually sells out each year.
And the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Pub Ed Committee has a booth there, and that's where you distribute the kits and all the information. So in the past, what else has the public education community given away at the conference?
Last year, one of the giveaways we had was basically a messaging guideline that we could get out to the different fire departments to get consistent messages on fire safety throughout the state. A lot of our firefighters will be approached by residents or maybe a homeowner while they're out at a call, and they'll ask what they should do with their smoke alarms, for example. So the whole idea behind this guide is that when that firefighter is approached, that they're given a consistent message, not only throughout your department, but all the departments throughout the state. So we printed our first printing of them last year for the conference. We probably handed out 500 to 700 of them.
Wow. And it's basically trying to put everybody in the state of Minnesota, as far as the fire departments and firefighters, on the same educational message page.
Yeah, exactly.
And when was that work done along with the State Fire Marshal's office?
Yep, so we have a really good partnership with the State Fire Marshal's office. We kind of joined forces officially last year to work together because it made no sense for us to try to put out a message and the State Fire Marshal's office trying to put their efforts into the same message. So now we're combining our efforts and our resources, and it's working out very well.
Yes, and we're doing it in a lot of different places.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
We've held a small conference with them earlier this year that was very well attended.
A lot of our citizens are probably familiar with the trailers that go around to different events that the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Pub Ed Committee was responsible for building and now managing. Now, those funds came from the same entity that does a lot of our funding. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Those funds came from the Minnesota Fair Plan, and what the Minnesota Fair Plan is essentially they will provide insurance for either homeowners, individuals, or businesses that may have had a couple claims or something or have a hard time getting the insurance. So the Minnesota Fair Plan will step in and help sell them and provide them with the insurance they need. And as part of that, some of the funds that off of those insurance policies and something like that, we've been very fortunate the last several years to get donations to help pay for some of these projects. And as you mentioned, those two kitchen fire safety trailers.
That's awesome. And they also fund Governor's Fire Prevention Day at the fair, don't they?
Yes, they do.
So can I talk a little bit about Fire Prevention Day at the fair?
Sure.
Okay. So I want to tell everybody about Governor's Fire Prevention Day at the fair. It's August 25th. That's a Friday. And the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Public Education Committee has a booth there. It's the interactive kitchen fire safety booth. And that's one of 100 different activities that happen on the fair that day. So what I tell people is mark your calendars for that day. And then when you get to the fair, go to information booth, grab a Governor's Fire Prevention Day map, and plan your fun day, because it's a great day. It's engaging, entertaining, and educational. And that's the day your family should go to the fair.
Very well attended event every year.
Yes, it is. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about you or the committee?
We've got, like I said, we have about 34 members, and we've got a lot of talent on the committee, a lot of hardworking people, and they're the reason why we've been able to put out some of the educational literature and things like that. We work very well together.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Coming up after the break, the Lake Minnetonka Emergency Management Group received an emergency response vehicle to assist in responding to emergencies.
Mike, I'm heading out to run some errands. Better get up soon. Mike, don't you have to go to work? Mike. Honey? Are you listening to me?
Mike, get up. Mike, wake up. Michael, get up. Honey, get up. Mike, baby, wake up.
This Max Pro MRAP was obtained through the 1033 program for our Lake Minnetonka Emergency Response Unit and our Lakes Area Emergency Management Program. The 1033 program started in 1997 when President Clinton and the Department of Defense decided, what do we do with all of our unused military equipment? The Department of Defense said, hey, let's provide it to civilian agencies, and it comes at no cost. So this is an emergency response vehicle for all hazards.
Public safety and emergency management alike are really about being prepared for critical incidents that affect our communities. And so One of the first rules is making sure that you have the tools to do that. And so what this vehicle does is it really gives us capabilities that we otherwise just wouldn't have.
This affords us an ability to rapidly get to a scene from a vehicle that's based here and get into a hazardous environment, whether that's a natural environment, an industrial accident, or a tactical environment. Get in, do the job, and get out safely, allowing not only the residents to be safe, but the responders to be safe as well.
The MRAP is going to provide May Plain Fire with a means of access to our community, our neighborhoods, as a way to bring firefighters to a scene safely and to provide the resources needed in the event of a natural disaster.
One of the great uses of this vehicle is it has run flat tires on it. So we have the ability to, obviously, by the size of it, go over debris, and even if the tires get punctured, it continues to have its own compressor to keep the tires moving so we can go rescue people.
We can get into an area that has a train derailment threat, for example, is it's overpressured. And what overpressure means is there's a system that blows air out of the vehicle and doesn't allow it to come in. That's important in a toxic chemical leak environment.
It can be used to keep the SWAT team safe because it's bulletproof. It can be used to drive through debris and rescue people that may be trapped beyond that. And so its capability is outstanding.
This vehicle for emergency response encompasses the entire Lake Minnetonka Emergency Management Plan.
Our Lake Minnetonka Emergency Management Group was formed back in 1997. I was one of the original chiefs that put this group together. By working together, we share resources. We have a common ordinance that states that we will be mutual aid partners, and in time of need, we all come together.
We also formed the Lake Minnetonka SWAT team, which is a culmination of 5 different agencies. And so this vehicle will not only be used for SWAT purposes, but for our entire emergency management group.
We depend on each other a lot, and this is one step in that direction of sharing a piece of equipment that can be used throughout the region.
We have a complete medical response, first aid, trauma kits on the vehicle. We have blankets, water, supplies, anything you can imagine as far as rescue, we have it. We really put a lot of time and effort into it, but very minimal cost. When you take a vehicle like this and you realize that this is a fully operational vehicle for under $25,000, this seems like very efficient money to use our funding for to get a vehicle like this.
This vehicle is defensive, and what that means is there are no weapons on this vehicle. It doesn't fire anything, it doesn't launch anything.
This is a shield. This is for us to go into warm zones, hot zones, to rescue civilians, rescue officers, and to bring the police and fire to those areas in a safe manner.
On the fire and EMS side, it's going to provide resources to you in times of natural disaster. In times of train derailments, the onboard pressurized cab is allowed to get into areas where most vehicles and most apparatus cannot go.
In a disaster situation, nobody has enough resources within their lone single department or their lone city or even their lone county to respond to all aspects of that disaster. So you need to come together, you need to share resources, and that's the key of emergency management, is to share resources.
We are going to be far more capable of responding to a critical incident, whether it be a hostage situation or a storm-damaged area where we have to go in and rescue people or clear roadways. So from my perspective, that means we have a lot more capability and we can do more for our citizens, and I think that's something we can all be excited about.
Would you want a police officer, a firefighter, or a paramedic to have the equipment to go in and make a rescue of your loved one? If you were the loved one of a police officer, a firefighter, or a civilian, would you want them to have the protection and the proper equipment to make that rescue of your loved one? What's a life worth? We all know that you cannot put a value on a life, and I think this vehicle provides the protection and the shield to allow us to make rescues and to go into dangerous areas and protect the citizens and our police officers and firefighters.
The Lake Minnetonka Communications Commission, located in Spring Park, creates a variety of high-quality public, educational, and government programming for our member cities.
All in favor?
LMCC operates 4 channels. Channel 8 or HD 808 offers city council meetings in high definition. Staff-produced and community programming airs on channels 12 and 21. Channel 20 features school board and other government agency meetings. The studio is fully equipped in high definition, featuring state-of-the-art Panasonic cameras and fluorescent lighting. The studio is used to create a variety of LMCC programming. The LMCC production van is used to cover a variety of events in the community in high definition, including high school sports, concerts, and community forums. If you live in one of our member cities and are interested in producing your own show or using your talents for a production, please contact the Lake Minnetonka Communications Commission. LMCC, your community TV.
It's time for Scam Alert. This segment alerts the public on scams that have been reported to local police departments.
The Federal Trade Commission has reports of scammers calling and saying, "I've kidnapped your relative," and naming a brother, sister, child, or parent. They say, "Send ransom immediately or something bad will happen." However, they didn't kidnap anyone, but they hope you'll panic and rush to pay ransom before verifying the story. Scammers order you to stay on the phone and not contact anyone until the money is sent. There's pressure to pay quickly by wire transfer or prepaid cards because it's difficult to trace or recover money sent that way. Scammers scour the internet and social media sites, grabbing information about where people live, work, or travel, and the names of family and friends. They use the details to pick a target and make their calls sound credible. To cut down on the information that scammers can find, you need to limit the access to your networking pages and encourage your family to do the same. If you get a call like this, remember that it's fake, no matter how scary it sounds. Never wire money or pay by prepaid card to anyone who demands you to. Hang up the phone and contact the relative or friend in question, then report it to the Federal Trade Commission. You get a call from someone claiming to work for TripAdvisor, and the first thing they ask is, "Can you hear me?" Sometimes, the scammer claims to be having trouble with their headset. Don't respond, just hang up. In many cases, the scammer already has your phone number or credit card number as the result of a data breach, and these can be used to authorize unwanted charges. When the victim disputes the charges, the scammer can use your recorded yes to confirm that they have consent. Don't believe your caller ID. Caller ID spoofing makes it very easy for callers to pretend to be someone else. Remember to always check your credit card and phone statements carefully for any unfamiliar charges. If you suspect you have been victimized, call the company and dispute anything you did not authorize. To report this and other scams, go to www.bbb.org/scam-tracker. A technician claiming to be from a well-known company like Microsoft tells you your computer is infected with a virus. He'll ask you to perform tasks that can cause you to unknowingly allow the cyber criminals remote access to your computer and the personal data stored on it. You may also be tricked into installing malicious software that could steal your personal information. After claiming to have identified the problem, he'll demand payment to fix it with software updates or other solutions. They'll accept credit cards and wire transfers or direct you to fraudulent websites set up to collect personal and financial information. These scammers may sound credible at first, but what they really want is access to your computer and your money. Never give a caller access to your computer or any financial information before verifying they are legitimate. Do not provide social security numbers, banking, or credit card information to anyone who calls, no matter who they say they are. If you've been a victim of this scam, file a consumer complaint with the Minnesota Attorney General's office.
If you spot an aggressive coyote in the community, do you know what to do? The City of Greenwood has enacted a coyote management plan in the hopes to educate residents on the behavior of coyotes in the South Lake area.
Last summer, We had a rather aggressive coyote patrolling the trail in Greenwood. We had a number of complaints and sightings that were not normal, and so we started doing some investigations and we ended up with a coyote management plan. Well, a level green is a coyote sighting. If the coyote is close enough and notices you, it leaves. That's a normal sighting of a coyote. They're afraid of people. They should leave when they see you. There's really no reportable action to the city or anyone else regarding a level green sighting. A level yellow is a sighting where the coyote shows a little bit of aggressiveness. For example, if you've got a dog that's not on a leash and the coyote comes, normally the coyotes, when they see a dog, they're looking for something to eat, and the dog is looking for somebody to play with. The level yellow is established so that you call the city and let them know that it happened, and you should start the hazing process. Hazing starts out with stand your ground. When you see a coyote, you want to stand your ground. You want to make yourself as big as possible, so you might want to wave your arms or puff your chest out, do things like that. Never turn your back on a coyote, because if you turn your back, the coyote senses that as a fear response, and it'll start to nip at your heels, and if it starts to nip at your heels, nothing good comes of that. Anybody that's uncomfortable hazing a coyote can always contact me, or they can contact the city clerk. Then the hazing team will attempt to intervene and try to reestablish that relationship where the coyote is afraid of us. The level orange category is where the coyote is getting out of its normal behavior patterns and is starting to act aggressively. We don't expect coyotes, when they see people, to stick around. If they are sticking around, if they're growling, if they're making aggressive moves towards people, then that's a level orange. Call 911. You need to report that to the city, and then we put it on a list, and if we see a pattern of aggressive behavior, we'll send the hazing team out, or in the worst case, we will try to implement lethal removal. Level red is an attack on a person. Call 911, get the police out there, do whatever you can to keep yourself safe. Once a coyote has established a complete change in behavior where they are attacking people, we will implement lethal removal as best we can. Coyotes are scavengers, so keep your garbage covered. We did implement a program in Greenwood to make sure that large garbage containers were covered. Keep your dogs on a leash. If you keep a dog on a leash, it's closer to you. Coyotes don't like you, they might like your dog, they'll stay away. There's really nothing to worry about from a normal coyote encounter. We have those all the time. I've seen lots of coyotes around. Usually I get a glimpse of one and they run away. We've not had a complaint since last October. We're hopeful that we get through this next fall season without experiencing what we experienced last year.
Thank you for watching First Responder TV, your local public safety source. If you have an idea for a segment, an upcoming public safety or fire prevention event, please let us know. This is Kellie Murphy-Ringate giving you information you can use, share, and to live by.